So about, I don't know, 10 days after declaring that the college football playoff had now set up the perfect structure, they're going to go and screw it up. They're going to go and completely decimate what had put together as the perfect system. The reports are coming out that after expanding to 12 teams, the college football playoff is looking to expand to 14 teams, which feels like an asinine number. It really does. Expand to 14 teams and have 3 guaranteed slots for the Big Ten, 3 guaranteed slots for the SEC, 2 guaranteed slots for the ACC, 2 guaranteed slots for the Big 12, I beg your pardon, and a group of 5 representative, followed by 3 at-large bids. Who, outside of the Big Ten and SEC, want that? Who wants that? Who's pounding the table? 1 for 14 teams, 2 for guaranteed spots for the Big Ten and SEC, and for more guaranteed spots for the Big Ten and SEC than the Big 12 and ACC. Who wants that? Well, the Big Ten and SEC want it because they want guaranteed slots for their teams. Listen, I don't think generally people have a problem with greed, right? As long as they're also getting some benefit from it. Consumers, viewers, whatever the case may be, are able to look past greed in exchange for some benefit for me. For instance, Girl Scout cookies are now like $6 a box. What the hell is that? Like, they haven't gotten better. It's the worst packaging possible. The experience is terrible. And yet, like, I still get delicious cookies, and you get your money. And you have realized that you can take me for all I'm worth for these Girl Scout cookies. But I'm willing to look past your greed because I still get something out of the deal. And that's where I think the kind of public perception of the college football playoff turns, is that is the college football fan, is the average football viewer served by an expanded college football playoff moving to 14 teams with a 9-3 Iowa guaranteed a spot in the college football playoff, while a 10-2 somebody else, or an 11-1 group of 5 school, or another 12-0 group of 5 school, or whatever the case may be, are they better served for that? No, not especially. So I don't know how popular this proposal is going to be. Now, it's better than the proposal, and I think this is, I can sit here and bitch about the greed of the Big Ten and the SEC, but their negotiating tactics are spectacular. The original proposal was 4 slots for the Big Ten and SEC, each, not combined, each. They each got 8 of the 14 teams, which at the start is like, holy cow, you're going to take 8 of 14 slots? What makes you think that you have earned that? Yada, yada, yada. So the argument becomes like, there's no way in hell you deserve 8 of the 14 slots. There's no way in hell that the 4th best team in the Big Ten deserves a spot, over a guaranteed spot, over the 2nd best team in the ACC or Big Ten. There's no way that that's true. So then you come back to the negotiating table and go, all right, I heard you. What about 3? Because then 3 sounds reasonable. 4, unreasonable. Not going to happen. This is ridiculous. How could you think that? 3 becomes a little bit more palatable. And you say, okay, sorry. Take 2 of those guaranteed slots and keep 1 for yourself, Big Ten. Keep 1 for yourself, ACC. Because that's the kind of guy I am. I'm willing to give up 1 of my guaranteed slots for me. And you know what? Now that I've thought about it, you're right. I'm willing to give it to you, Big Ten, Big 12. I'm willing to give it to you, ACC. Because then that offer becomes real palatable, doesn't it? Because I think the number that I read was that the ACC hasn't had 2 teams in the top 14 more than twice in the current college football playoff era. So that conference would be essentially, in the overwhelming majority of the last decade, be adding a playoff team that it would not have already had due to this current proposal. So the Big Ten and SEC look like geniuses by coming in with hey, how about we have 4 slots for the Big Ten, 4 slots for the SEC, and then the Big 12 and ACC. You're like, well, do you think we're chop liver? What the hell is that? So then you come back and go, yeah, you know what? Yep, we thought it over. And we think maybe 3 for us and then 2 for you. So the Big 12 and ACC are still somewhat viewed as second-tier, second-rate, second-class citizens in the college football hierarchy landscape. But at the same time, they sure are a step above the entire group of 5, right? So the Big Ten and SEC get to establish their hierarchy, that we are the unquestioned top dogs in the sport. They give up 1 guaranteed slot apiece in a 14-team playoff. And realistically, if there's 3 at-large bids, make no mistake about it, they're not going to group of 5 schools. They're going to go to either the Big 10, Big 12, ACC, SEC. More often than not, it's probably going to go to the Big 10 and SEC. So they're still going to get their 4 teams into the college football playoff. However, it's not under the guise of an automatic berth. So they're negotiating from this ridiculous position of strength, which I have often argued for, right? Like, when you have the leverage, play that card. What do you have to lose? Sometimes you got to put it on the table and let them see it. That they know you're bigger than they are. You know they're bigger than they are. You know that you're more important than they are, and they know it too. And they know that if you decide, if the Big Ten and SEC just say, hell with it, no more college football playoff, our champion is playing your champion on New Year's Day in Pasadena, California, does the college football playoff have a whole lot of meaning at that point? Not especially. And so when you have those cards to play, you get to play them. And the Big Ten and SEC are doing that. Now, me, as a college football fan, a college football consumer, a college football media person, do I think this is great? No. I think 12 is the great, correct, perfect number. I think you still get all of those conference champions. You still get a group of 5 representatives to come in and smash and crash the dance if they have that ability. And then you get teams who are legitimate contenders to duke it out to win the national title. I've also advocated for, I think, deciding who the best football team is by playing football is a great way to operate, a great idea. But is 14 teams the ideal number? In my opinion, no. If you're going to drop conference championship games, then yes. Start the playoff a week earlier. And I have a well-documented, like, conference championship games are meaningless. They exist so Dr. Pepper can spend more money with the Big 12. They exist so conference sponsors can get schmoozed in Indianapolis, Atlanta, Dallas, and Charlotte. And they get to have a nice weekend while their tushes are kissed and pampered. That's why the conference championship games exist. In a 14-team playoff, I don't think we need conference championship games. Hell, truthfully, I don't think a 12-team college football playoff needs conference championship games. But if you're going to say there are automatic bids that need to be settled upon via this conference championship game, then fine, whatever. At the end of the day, we like sports because we like competition. We like finding out who is the best, right? We like football because it's me versus you. I need to move you somewhere you don't want to go, and you want to make sure I don't get to where I want to go. Somebody's going to win. Somebody's going to lose. And now you're moving to this system of like, even if you didn't earn it, we still might put you in this position to potentially win a championship because, one, it benefits these two business entities. And I've been on record. College football is a business masquerading as a TV product. Meanwhile, the NFL is a TV product masquerading as a business, but that's neither here nor there. College football is a business masquerading as a TV product. And what's good for business for the SEC and the Big Ten is one, expanded playoff, because then you can put some so then instead of there being 11 games in a college football playoff, you can go to 13 games. And you get to put some of those games on Amazon Prime Video or Apple TV or Peacock, ESPN Plus. So your business partners make more money. You make more money because they're making more money by giving it to you. But at the same time, if you water down the product, if you water down especially too quickly, because for the first time in 150 years of the sport's history, the last decade has been the first time that we have really settled who the best team is on the field. And we've really done kind of a piss poor job at that. So for 140 years, we operated one way. Now, in the span of a decade and a half, you're going to go to a complete overhaul of the sport, where 4 teams went from having a chance to win the championship to 14 teams have the chance to win the championship. It's going to water things down, and people aren't going to respond positively to it. So it's not a good thing. But at the same time, if people don't view the playoff as prestigious, as you've actually earned your way in, right? And this might be a bit niche, but I like IndyCar racing, the Indianapolis 500-mile race, right? And the way it's currently set up is there are 33 cars that make the field. And if you are one of the fastest 33 cars, you're in. And if you're not, whether you're last year's champion, whether you're this year's points leader, whether you're one of the all-time greats, if on this day you are not one of the 33 fastest cars, you don't make the field. And they're looking at changing that. They're looking at saying, like, hey, the teams that commit to a full season in our series, their business partners, their sponsors deserve to be represented in the Indianapolis 500-mile race. No, they don't. Are you one of the fastest 33 or not? Are you one of the best 14 teams in America or not? So I don't I think if you're going to put any onus on conference championship games mattering, then fine. If you believe that at the end of the day, conference championship games are important and winning that game then puts you into the college football playoff, I have no problem with that. But finishing third in your conference means you automatically make the tournament, means you automatically have an opportunity to go win a championship is asinine. And I think they're going to do it anyway. And again, people can look past greed when they still benefit from it. Now, in some cases, you'll have a Ole Miss or a Penn State or someone else that will benefit from, and their fan base will benefit from these rules. And so they'll be fine with it. But the college football public, casual fan, overall viewer as a whole does not benefit from the 12-team playoff going to a 14-team playoff. So they're not going to be willing to look past greed in that instance. And when in a sport where public perception has mattered for 150 years, I think people are losing sight of the fact that public perception still, at least a little bit, matters. And they're acting out of greed. And I get it. But at some point, somebody's got to be the person to take a step back and be like, hey, wait a second. Are we sure this is the right thing? And I don't know if anybody's going to do that or not. That'll do it for today's episode of the Daily Huddle. Appreciate you making us a part of your day, however it is, wherever it is you're doing so. You watch it on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're getting all the great college football content that we're pumping out here on Saturday Glory. If you are listening on the podcast feed, drop a 5-star review. Goes a long way in helping out the channel. I'll see you on Sunday here on the Daily Huddle with Saturday Glory.